Niggas always claim to set blood, ain't from the hood. Hell nah. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. Oh, I live in the hood, ass nigga. Never got put on, always claiming the hood though. Oh, you fucking with the homegirl, but don't come to the hood with none of your damn homeboys. They don't get a pass. Had the little homies press they ass for your tattoos. Hey, your mama waking up to some bad news. The plug saying groove, I'm a dime. I was long in the race, skinny nigga with the braid. Took a 2-man fade, I'm really from the hood. I took a fucking break to get my money right, but I was begging on the plane in the meeting with Jermaine. They like, poet, oh you bang? They forgot where I came from. I was gang banging when it wasn't fun. Homie doing life right now, cause we don't play the fun. You ain't from the hood. Nah, you ain't get put on.
James Touche.
You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. Niggas always claim to set blood, ain't from the hood. Hell nah. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. And that goes for these hoes too. Start fucking.
What up, James Touche?
Ha, little dot dot. Heard you gave a homie head in the trap spot. Got a throwaway in the stash spot. Boy, you not real, like a Sasquatch. Boy, I'm so high, I'm seeing astronauts. Boy, I ball hard, I need a mascot. Poet, and Swahili, I'm a damu. My little cousin making paru. My nigga Uzi, he from Fire Deuce. Pad blows, I be hanging with some real whoops. Gang signs out the window when we drive.
What up, Slap
Making
Head?
money with some Crips like it's 92. Banging on tracks, banging on tracks. Back in my days, it was banging on. You ain't from the hood. Nah, you ain't get put on, you ain't from the hood. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood. Niggas always claim to set blood, ain't from the hood. Hell nah. You ain't never got put on, you ain't from the hood.
Fuck Chris Brown, nigga. Pull up in the hood right now, nigga. Catch a fade, nigga. Fuck, nigga. Frogs.
You ain't from the hood.
What's up in the building? I see who all up in the house. What's up with it? I see James Touche say both sides work for the left. You ain't lying, James. Both sides work for the left. But we finna get into how Black Lives Matter is contributing to white supremacy. And most of y'all didn't know that Black Lives Matter was contributing. Pause this damn thing. Most of y'all didn't know that Black Lives Matter was contributing to white conspiracy. Right? Well, we finna prove it right now. Come on, man. Good looking out to James Touche on the first donation of the live chat, right? But James, we finna get into it. We finna let you know, right? Because Black Lives Matter has contributed to the reason why all this violence is going on in Los Angeles. And it's all because of the cause. It's all because of the reason. It's all because of the left. It's all because of the liberals, right? It's in plain sight, right? Now, I'm going to prove it to you today how Black Lives Matter contributed to the violence in L.A. and lynched a black woman and got a white man, George Gaston, in the office, right? The same man that they're trying to impeach right now, right? They're trying to recall right now, right? Huh? They took the black woman out who was supported by the police and put the man in who was supported by the criminals. Let's roll it.
As protests across the country continue to call on police reform, here in LA County, Black Lives Matter has turned their focus to those who police the police. Their target, the district attorney's office.
We are now 1 month away from the March primary, and tonight was a big night for a man who wants to take away Jackie Lacey's job. And
good looking out, slap head on a donation so I can keep my job, right? They're trying to take Jackie Lacey's job, right? And Slaphead making sure I keep my job. You're looking out on the donation. Slaphead always coming through. But you see, right? Black Lives Matter is trying to take the black woman out to try to put the white man in. The first black woman, an historical black woman. How you erase history? Right? This is how you erase black history. Right? You erase it by deleting the past. Right? The first black woman. She ain't even celebrated no more. Get her up out of here. She had a position better than Kamala Harris and was doing way better than Kamala Harris at the same position.
Now, I'm very proud to see someone of your stature in a position like this. Many people don't know you are the first woman to hold this position, and not only the first woman, but the first African American to hold this position, I think since 1859 or 1860?
1860.
1860. Okay.
Running against Lacey is George Gascon, former San Francisco DA and once an assistant police chief for LAPD. He wrote and helped pass Prop 47 6 years ago. It changed state law, reducing sentences for most drug and property crimes. He's considered the more progressive candidate when it comes to criminal justice reform. And
Progressive, right? And that's what the Democrats and the left been fighting for, right? Progressive reform with the police department, right? Progressive, Black Lives Matter and the Democrats walking hand in hand, got Gaston in.
has said he won't seek the death penalty if elected.
And Congressman Adam Schiff, Mayor Eric Garcetti have pulled their endorsement of you and now back your opponent.
Eric Schiff and Eric Schiff and Eric Garcetti, whatever the motherfucker's name is, right? Pulled their endorsements, right? And guess who was endorsing Eric Gaston? The same motherfucker was hating on Donald Trump.
Has been a major proponent of criminal justice
John
reform,
Legend,
which is why he's endorsing George Gascon for Los Angeles District Attorney.
What's your response to all of this? And do you think the tide is shifting since the George Floyd demonstrations earlier this year?
Jackie Lacey, who took office 8 years ago, was the first black DA in Los Angeles, and now she's running for her third term.
Oh, the Democrats can't have that. Even though she's a Democrat, she wasn't following the Democrat progressive rules. They had to get her out of here. Anybody who don't follow the Democratic rules, they got to lynch your ass in public. It was a public lynching of a black woman by Black Lives Matter and the rest of their white compadres.
But recently, groups like Black Lives Matter have been protesting at her events.
I know how to create safer communities that I have done.
He did? George Gaston ran on, he know how to provide safer communities. Have he provided it? Crime went up, murder went up, shooting went up, everything went up under George Gaston. Have he created a safer environment? Huh? Thank you, Black Lives Matter.
Or as a current district attorney,
His goal as LA's district attorney to decrease violence. He says that starts by incarcerating fewer people.
Whoa, you'll decrease violence by incarcerating less people. That would surely increase violence. Ain't that a bitch? Huh? Thank you, Black Lives Matter. This is what he ran on.
First, by eliminating cash bail before trial, which he says disproportionately keeps the poor and minorities behind bars.
Thank you, Officer Grimm, for keeping the minorities behind bars, Officer Grimm. Huh? Officer Grimm keep the minorities behind bars. It's not racist, Officer Grimm. It is niggas be out there committing crimes. So thank you, Officer Grimm, for coming through with the donation and keeping these damn minorities and these niggas behind bars. Because look at the wild shit they doing in California and Los Angeles.
Have gang members committing murders, multiple murders.
What were your priorities taking this office?
How do we reimagine the way that we bring security and safety and public health to our communities?
Days shy of their 18th birthday, and he wants to not treat them as adults.
Yeah, you let motherfuckers run around LA just shooting like crazy and don't charge them as adults. Let them be juveniles so they can get out when they're 25 years old. Huh? Juvenile life. Huh? Take it back to the 80s. Let juveniles run wild on the streets, killing niggas.
And progressive DAs have been swept into office, riding a wave of criminal justice reform.
In fact, he helped write Prop 47, which reduced nonviolent crimes to misdemeanors. It also made 10,000 prisoners eligible for parole, and critics basically call that a get-out-of-jail-free card.
And right now, it feels like we don't have anyone on our side.
And remember, under George Gaston, police has been dying. George Gaston has took the criminal side, right? And Miss Lacey, right, was taking the side of the police. So Black Lives Matter had to get up out of here for taking the side of the police and not the criminals.
George Gascon held a meeting with Black Lives Matter, including families of people who have been killed by police officers.
Family of 24-year-old Juan Diaz, an off-duty LAPD officer allegedly gunned down in 2019, outside a court hearing this morning arguing directives from the new DA are a blow to justice in their brother's murder case.
Right? Since George Gaston has been in office, the war on the police has escalated. Remember the war on the police? Remember Barack Obama? George Soros funded? Remember all this other war on the police they've been preaching, right? Huh? Right now it's a war on the police in LA, and guess who funded it? George Soros is funding it, right? You got George Gaston, right? Holding back these laws, allowing these officers to get shot and giving people linear time.
He says he called the meeting in South LA to assure the community that he will fully investigate allegations of abuse of power by police.
With the new DA, it's become a little harder for the victims. We now feel like we are the ones, that did something wrong.
And he wants to have a strong relationship with the Black and Latino communities.
The Black and Latino community. Them the white community. He want to have a strong relationship with the Black and Latino community. Them the other community. The police community, with officers are dying and he's not reaching out. He's going towards the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Talking about he finna defund the police. Remember, him and the mayor got together and defunded the police. Said they were going to do something with the money. Ain't done nothing with the money yet, right? Nothing.
Some veteran prosecutors in Gascon's office, like John McKinney, are calling his changes misguided, even illegal.
Well, I think it's really important that we get him on record saying that he is going to follow through with his promise to reopen cases.
Right? He said he was going to go through with his promise on reopening cases against the LAPD. That's what he ran on, right? They tried to kick Lacey out of the office, right, for not opening up cases and not prosecuting officers, right, and they elected him on opening cases. Oh, we're going to open the case. We're going to hold a police accountable. We're going to do all of those shit, right? We're going to do all that when I get in office, right? We ain't going to hold no criminals accountable, though.
Implemented a slew of blanket policies that don't leave room for any exercise of discretion.
To re-examine cases that have not been determined and really say, that he's going to prosecute police who kill and abuse and brutalize our people.
Huh? You hear this, Buffalo Soldier? And she light-skinned as hell with green eyes and good-ass hair talking about our people. Who is you? Your ass can jump on both sides. I thought you was a white woman. You getting on here talking about our people. Who, the white people or the black people? Girl, you got your damn nerves. Some people just all the way don't claim the other side of their race at all. You are evidently mixed.
It's the legislature's way of saying, a person who does a strong arm robbery, just a push and grab, shouldn't be subject to the same penalty as someone who shoots the victim with a gun.
Critics, some in his own office, say in essence, the liberal DA favors criminals over victims.
And it's not just insiders attacking him. When Gascon said he'd stop sending prosecutors,
he favored criminals over victims, right? The other lady, Lacey, right? She favored police over criminals. And Jackie Lacey up out of there.
To parole hearings, L.A. sheriff said he'd send his staff to stand up for crime victims.
Another item, as Fox 11 reported weeks ago, what some worry is an open-air drug lab operating near an elementary school. A tarp set up to shield the students, though it's not clear how Gascon is linked to that.
You got a drug lab right outside, right, of a damn elementary. It's plenty of them in L.A. Homeless encampments right outside the elementary school, because the elementary school parking is different from parking in other areas, right? So you got homeless encampments set up by the elementary school, right? All in broad daylight, right? Meth, all kind of stuff, right? Kids walk through the neighborhood, got all these mobile homes and prostitution and crack kids out there with wild dogs smelling like feces and all kind of stuff, right? All through LA. They put up a tarp so the kids won't see it.
We're here to chant down Babylon. We're here to say Jackie Lacey must go.
Let's talk about, the main criticism of you from many of these Black Lives Matter activists.
The Black Lives Matter activists hanging a black woman. Hanging her in public, doing worse than the white people.
That are outside your office protesting, as they feel that you do not prosecute enough police officers.
But recent cases like the death of George Floyd have fueled protests against her.
The truth is, no one's been paying attention to what I've been doing. This is the 23rd excessive force case that has been filed under my administration, and no one's covered any of the others.
The African.
Wait, I forgot to cover something for Official Grimm. Next, I got you, Official. My bad. I didn't see it. I just read the chat. You gotta put that shit up in there.
American community has been highly critical of Lacy for not prosecuting LAPD officers involved in use of force cases.
So at this point, it could be, anybody running against Jackie Lacy, and we'd say they're probably going to be better than she is.
Oh, you hear that? Anybody running against Jackie Lacy, and they will say she better than he is. Well, guess what, Black Lives Matter? You got it. You got exactly what you want. You got George Gaston, right? You got exactly what you want. Anybody will be better than Jackie Lacy. Okay, well, you got it.
Good evening, Cher and Rick. The recall effort against LA County District Attorney George Gascon may be gaining momentum tonight.
And so I spoke to some of them, and I said, well, what's the...
Remember, right? Jackie Lacy is tripping on the police dying and protecting the police, right? And making sure they don't get convicted wrongly, right? George Gaston is worried about the so-called victims, and not the victims, the suspects and the criminals and criminal rights and stuff like that. They focus on two different things, right? Black Lives Matter wanted the more progressive one, wanted to change the laws and donate money to different causes and stuff like that. So they went with George Gaston. They didn't go with the black woman who created history, right? Who would have been a historical figure for the black community, right? They didn't go with her. They had to make sure she lost her job. They couldn't have nobody historical up there. She got to go.
Main case that you're interested in?
It's not that I don't have a desire to prosecute people. It's that I am bound by the law and the evidence.
Of Kenneth Ross.
And they don't like the people bound by the law and the government, right? They want you to follow what they tell you to do, right? Jackie Lacy says she's following the constitutions and the laws. The Democrat and the Black Lives Matter, they don't want you to follow the laws. They want you to do what the fuck they want you to do, right? I knew this dude right here. Crazy as a son of a bitch. He be at where I used to live at. Crazy as a son of a bitch, right? Out shooting like hell, right? And the police shot his ass, and they wanted his ass convicted. I couldn't show you the video, but you can go in the video and Google the video. He running, shooting with a damn gun, right? And the police shoot his ass, right? And the Black Lives Matter want to go crazy. But when the police get shot, right, by a criminal that's been released, don't nobody want to say nothing. Black Lives Matter, no lives matter speaking out for him or them. Right, look at the difference of attention from Black Lives Matter.
He was in Gardena back in 2018, and he was shot and killed by a police officer.
I understand. Did they give my brother time? They didn't give my brother time.
At this event last year, the crowd turned on her when she talked about police shootings and the deaths of black men.
The mother of one of the El Monte officers killed in the line of duty this week, Officer Joseph Santana, well, she is speaking out tonight through tears and heartache and anger.
See, they don't want to talk about police dying and police getting shot. They get angry and mad, right? This woman recently, her son just died from that dude who got out of jail, right? Gascon ain't talk about none of that.
There were some reports at the time of gunfire in the area. Police were searching for a man meeting his description.
I lost my son the way I lost him, and the Gascon just letting all these criminals out.
The officers were actually responding to a call that Mr. Ross was out there shooting randomly out in public.
And they just keep doing one crime after the other.
And so they were responding to a cry for help from the residents there.
Like, I should have been in jail. If he wouldn't have been out, my son and the other officer would still be here.
And when they arrived, if you look, they asked Mr. Ross many, many times if he would stop, surrender.
Now we're just left here to suffer because they're never coming back.
But here, their view is they had someone who had a gun, who was shooting, who actually had shot several rounds off in public, and they were trying to prevent the threat of death to anyone else.
And it's not fair.
The gun was recovered. The gun was recovered by a paramedic who was treating Mr. Ross after he had been shot.
A memorial for 2 El Monte police officers killed in the line of duty is growing outside their police station. Corporal Michael Paredes and Officer Joseph Santana were fatally shot outside a motel on Tuesday, responding to a call for help involving domestic violence.
Right? One had to shoot a suspect, right? Because of domestic violence call, right? And he went home. On the other case, 2 heroes went to a domestic disturbance call and died, right? Now, if they would have used the proper force, I probably would, or would have, I don't know what the procedure was or what happened, you know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure they was hesitant because all this new rules and stuff like that, right? About criminal rights and stuff like that, right? And pulling guns on people and all those stuff. I'm pretty sure they would have been more prepared, right? You want to send social workers in the cases like these, and when officers are getting killed, right? So you got Jackie Lacey talking about criminal reform, right, and protecting the police and police rights and victims' rights, and you got this dude talking about criminal rights. 2 different people, but this is what Black Lives Matter wanted. Damn the victims, we want the criminal justice.
And all of the details of this are on our website. Whenever we decline a case, if you ever want to know, and that's the one thing I would ask for the activists, could you at least go to our website, read the full story.
The man authorities say was their killer was also shot dead. He's identified as 35-year-old Justin Flores, an individual with a criminal history.
So I'm encouraging people, read up for yourself. Don't let anyone tell you what to think.
Flores was on probation at the time of the deadly encounter with El Monte police.
With all these politicians are letting all these criminals out, this is the result.
That given the facts that you didn't get from looking at that video, that I would not have been able to legally even charge Sergeant Ross with using that deadly force.
Legally, right? But remember, George Gascon is getting sued and impeached because he was doing things illegally, right? Which the DA and the Black Lives Matter didn't have no problem with. They still supporting them, right? They still supporting his policies and stuff like that, right? The liberals and stuff like that. It's the conservative and the conservative liberals are tired of this shit, right? But you still got him pushing these same policies.
Outrage from various circles is now focused on embattled LA County District Attorney George Gascon. Critics say his soft-on-crime policies are the reason Justin Flores was a free man when he shot and killed 2 police officers.
A lawyer for the family saying the prosecutors moved to throw out enhancements for weapons and gang affiliation, which could result in stiffer sentences for the defendants if convicted.
Look how many police officers, family members are crying because of George Gascon policies and laws.
This as the Association of Deputy District Attorneys for LA County had a hearing in a lawsuit where they are suing their new boss.
This was a gang member, convicted felon, caught with a firearm, drugs, ammunition. It's solely because of George Gascon's policy that he was out on the street.
It's surreal. I never envisioned in my 22 years in the office that we would be in this place.
The lawsuit argues new DA policies, including a prohibition of certain sentencing enhancements, require prosecutors to violate the law.
Huh? You got prosecutors violating the law, right, because of George Gascon. They have to file a lawsuit because they're violating the law. That's what liberals want.
Meantime, a group of supporters rallying downtown in support of the new DA and his changes. Jackie Lacey is heavily endorsed by labor unions, including police unions.
So is you, Mal. What's that? Mal Elevant. Good looking out, Mal Elevant. You are strongly adored too, Mal Elevant. Good looking out on a donation.
Recently, Congressman Adam Schiff did walk back his endorsement for Lacey.
We're all here because this community voted for George Gascon because he promised that he would make an end to enhancements.
While Mayor Eric Garcetti has said changes may be needed in the DA's office, activists we spoke to argue resources should go into the community, not incarceration, saying Gascon's changes are merited.
Huh? That's the liberals out there saying, let Gaston go, let the police die, let the criminals out of jail. Don't charge people. That's Gaston supporters. You still got people supporting that. Black Lives Matter.
Madam Prosecutor, the criticism is that you are an old school DA and that times have changed. The public is demanding criminal justice reform, alternatives to incarceration, and that you are not a leader in that movement. What is your response?
They got to get George Gaston in there. She's an old school prosecutor. We're locking niggas up who do crimes, protecting the police when they don't do shit. Huh? Reviewing the evidence. She old school, not making up the shit as you go. They can't have that with the progressive.
His enhancements, the 3 strikes law, and all of these different sentencing schemes are unjust. They're racist.
You know, if you're going to do criminal justice reform, it has to be real reform and not window dressing.
Monday night right here in New Folsom.
This is window dressing, right? When the criminals are drinking Pruno in jail, thanking Gascon because they fit to get out.
Facility right here with my celly. Some white lightning. It's a little cup. Boom. Salute. Celebrating us going home on this Gascon direct. Oh.
And because I have been involved in the system, I'm an expert now. And I'm an expert in the subject matter as well as I have the relationships.
In the new doc, a prison phone call is used as an example of how...
You know who also got the relationship with the criminals? George Gaston. When you got criminals calling home talking about how they happy because some of the time is getting taken off of them because of George Gaston policies.
Some behind bars view Gascon, a convicted murderer in a robbery gone bad, says he's so happy at his reduced charges, he's going to get the name Gascon tattooed on his forehead.
So here's an example. In LA County, I've led mental health reform. I've launched the conviction review unit, and I've done other things. My opponent from San Francisco tried to do those things there. And his mental health proposal came a year after mine. It fell flat on its face. It was voted down because he doesn't have the infrastructure of relationships.
They're going to drop a gang of like my gun enhancement, my gang enhancement. My gang enhancement's 10 years, fool, for being a gang member. And then the gun and the commission of a crime.
Jackie Lacey had connections with all kind of people, right? The DA's office, the police, all the people, right? City council people, right? And to the liberals, right? They wasn't following her, right? And all of them left her. Huh? Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Gil Garcetti, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris also supported Gaston. Remember? She done some shit for Gaston. All the liberals fell behind Gaston.
Asking a court to give us guidance. Do we follow the directives of our office and violate the law? Or do we follow the law and violate the directives of our office?
She has touted her work on dismissing 66,000 marijuana convictions in the county and a mental health program working to keep people out of the criminal justice system.
Huh? Jackie Lacey was doing her job, but they didn't want her to do her job. She wasn't prosecuting enough police. It was a war on the police, and she wasn't doing the job against a war on the police. She was doing her job constitutional.
There are those who just want me to toss all that out the window and just go for it, just file certain cases. And we have filed. He sought our advice on how to open up a conviction review unit, and he never opened it up. When you're talking about real reform, you need a practicing lawyer. You need someone who has the relationships in LA County, who knows LA County. An outsider with an ego who is a politician is not going to be effective in change.
Huh? You heard that? The Democrat, she's a Democrat. She said he's an outside politician. He doesn't know the system in LA. She wasn't lying. You need somebody with the connections. She got connections. She wasn't lying. Thank you, Black Lives Matter, for fucking up LA. Huh? Thank you, Democrats, done lynched a black woman and promoted a white man who done fucked up LA. And now guess what? The white people getting his ass up out of there. The black people got his ass in, the white people getting his ass out.
Members of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles say they tried unsuccessfully for years to get outgoing DA Jackie Lacey to meet with them.
And so what I'm saying is, I hear you. I realize we need change. I'm an African-American woman who has experienced racism.
Hell yeah, by the Democratic Party, especially the Democratic Party. You're going to experience racism. They racist. The Democratic Party is racist. They lynched this black woman. And look, she finna get one. Get ready to get your tissues out, right? Because she about to give the lowdown on the peaceful protesters evading privacy, right? She finna get one of the deepest speeches ever, right? Get your tissue out, get your tear box, get your tears ready, because she about to give it, right? On privacy and what they doing to the judges right now, what they doing to the Supreme Court judge right now, they done it to her first. Remember, they done it to her first. Look at them. Remember, that's outside the house protesting? Get her up out of here, convicted cops. They was out of her house for years. Lynching a black woman.
She promised to have a community meeting in the black community. She never did.
There have been protests outside your office for years now by Black Lives Matter.
So early this morning, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles brought the meeting to Jackie Lacey's doorstep.
BLM has changed.
The office wasn't enough. Her office wasn't enough. They had to bring it to her house in her neighborhood. Remember, before Kavanaugh, it was Jackie Lacey.
Black Lives Matter LA has changed so much just in the last months after George Floyd. It really was a grassroots organization.
And instead of being met with, I'll come out or I won't come out, we were met with a gun pointed at my chest.
But
I didn't show that part because, YouTube is sensitive, right? Last time they showed a gun on here, the video got shut down, but we all know the incident when he came to the porch with the gun, like, get away from my shit. Huh? Right? He was protecting his household.
People are nervous. They're scared. We've been through a lot of trauma. I've had people who never would have owned a gun in their life, call and say, now how do I get a registered firearm?
Here it go right here. Here it go right here. Finna start right here. This is the most passionate speech I ever heard a politician give about peaceful protesters, right? This is the realest shit I ever heard. This is the realest shit. Get the tissue out. She about to speak the realest shit you ever heard. This is shit going on right now, today. Huh? She gonna break it down for you. And next time Republicans have a debate on freedom of speech and about protecting people, politicians and elected officials, privacy and household, they ought to put this speech up. This one right here. I don't know if you saw it, but this one right here is the shit. Here we go. Let's get it. Jackie Lacey.
Up until now, I have not really wanted to share with you what it's been like, but I think it's time because there's a bigger purpose here.
Let's go to a red hot issue here in Washington. Your husband tweeted after Justice Brett Kavanaugh left a Washington restaurant due to protesters. The tweet reads, sounds like he just wanted some privacy to make his own dining decisions.
What kind of shit is that? Your husband got on here and said something. Your husband, they was mad when Clarence Thomas' wife got on there and said something. But Pete Buttigieg's husband can get on there and say something, and he gonna defend him. Well, my husband is mad. My husband had feelings too. My husband upset. Nigga, neither one of y'all is having a baby, nigga. You or your husband is having a baby. Y'all can adopt one, but the show ain't worried about no damn abortion. Fool.
As District Attorney of LA County, I received threats, some of them death threats.
Look, when public officials go into public life, we should expect two things. One, you should always be free from violence, harassment, and intimidation.
I have been followed, photographed while with my family.
Ain't that what they done to old girl from Arizona? They followed in the bathroom, taking pictures of it and everything. The same thing they done to old girl, I forgot her name, right? They done to Jackie Lacey, the same thing, following her, harassing her outside her house. This is what they doing. This is what they doing to intimidate, lynching a black woman in front of the world.
And two, you're never going to be free from criticism or peaceful protest, people exercising their First Amendment rights.
Confronted at an art museum, confronted at fundraisers, even at endorsement interviews, have had people crash them and videotape me.
And that's what happened in this case. Remember, the justice never even came into contact with these protesters.
Look, they don't give a fuck. The Democrats don't give a fuck. Let them protest you. Let them go outside of art galleries. Let them harass you. We don't give a fuck. Huh? They don't protect their own people. You think they're going to protect a conservative judge? Right? They didn't protect her from prosecuting the police. You think they're going to protect the judge for not going with they murdering babies and on abortion? Shit. They're going to treat the judge worse than they treated her.
Reportedly didn't see or hear them. And these protesters are upset.
And all of this is because I chose to do my job.
Because a right, an important right, that the majority of Americans support was taken away.
I'm a human being. I'm a public servant.
Not only the right to choose, by the way, but this justice was part of the process of stripping away the right to privacy.
Right? They don't give a fuck. Democrats is animals. They don't give a fuck. They're going after you.
I've dedicated my life to the profession that stands up for victims of violent crime.
As long as I've been alive, settled case law in the United States has been that the Constitution protected a right to privacy, and that has now been thrown out the window by justices, including Justice Kavanaugh.
And I'm not ashamed of that. And I'm not sorry that I'm doing that.
Who, as I recall, swore up and down.
Well, the Democrats gonna make your ass sorry, huh? They're gonna treat Kavanaugh like they treated Jackie Lacey, huh? They're gonna Jackie Lacey Kavanaugh ass. We're gonna use that as a term. We're gonna Jackie Lacey your ass. You don't agree with us? We're gonna Jackie Lacey your ass
in front of God and everyone, including the United States Congress, that they were going to leave settled case law alone.
As district attorney, the minute you take this job, you're going to anger people.
So yes, people are upset. They're going to exercise their First Amendment rights.
People are going to be angry because you either did file a case or you didn't file a case.
As a high-profile public figure, sir, are you comfortable with protesters protesting when you and your husband go to dinner at a restaurant?
Yeah, give us your address, huh? Let motherfuckers pay the know your location online and stuff like that, and people don't take it down on social media.
But your job is to uphold the Constitution, to uphold the laws of the state of California.
You better not talk Constitution with liberals. Your ass is out the door. You upholding the Constitution? That's some old conservative shit.
Protesting peacefully outside in a public space, sure.
And to be fair, and to only do things that you know in your heart of heart.
You damn right Black Lives Matter shouldn't happen in Pittsburgh, Rick. You see how they treat this woman? Huh? They lynched her in public. Why should it end what she said at the end, Rick? You ain't heard nothing yet, Rick.
Are the right things, even if it means you will suffer personal consequences.
Look, I can't even tell you the number of spaces, venues, and scenarios where I've been protested.
That's who I am, and that's who I will always be.
And the bottom line is this: any public figure should always be free from violence, intimidation, and harassment.
That Black Lives Matter show didn't do that with Jackie Lacey. They intimidated her for years. Not months, years.
But should never be free from criticism or people exercising their First Amendment rights.
Now you can imagine, believe it or not, the Lacey's are private people. We expect that people will exercise their First Amendment right.
Peaceful protest, people should be allowed to be able to do that.
We rang the bell to invite her out to meet with us.
But our home is our sanctuary.
And they got a response they weren't expecting.
Good morning.
Get off of my porch. Oh, shit.
And we do not believe, I do not believe, it is fair or right for protesters to show up at the homes of people who dedicate their lives to public service.
In a restaurant.
If it's outside.
Oh, shit. Huh? Jackie Lacey, Democrat. You can't have that message out. The Democrats, look, if they ever have a hearing, they better bring Jackie Lacey up and talk about how an official gets stalked, harassed, and intimidated, right? Out of office. They better learn from Jackie Lacey.
A restaurant, if it's peaceful, for sure.
Look. Wait. As soon as I done that, look at this, right? Look. As soon as I done that, watch what Randy text me with, right? Randy text me, right in the middle of me editing this shit. Randy text me and give me some information. Randy said, "Hey man, look." Randy crazy. Randy say, "You realize the Highland Park shooter was gay and trans, and he was attacking people because they straight, but they won't report that." Randy hit me up with that, like, "Hey man, did you know that?" Good shout out to Randy K with the message of the day, damn it.
In the past, I have offered to meet with Black Lives Matters.
Abdullah says they've tried countless times to meet with their district attorney to discuss police brutality, but to no avail.
But I felt it should be either one-on-one or a small group.
We want to ask her why she's not holding police accountable.
This is not the first time this has happened. And maybe I was lulled into a sense of security.
Really?
Peaceful protest. Your first question to me was intimidation.
Yes, intimidation. Do this lady look happy or do she look scared? Do she look nervous? She look intimidated. This lady is scared for her life. She's scared for her life. I'm telling Republicans, you need to call this lady for a hearing. Hear this lady's story on intimidation, on protecting officials, and how she feel, how her life is fucked up after that. Republicans calling now, first witness.
They have rejected those offers.
There were protests outside your house, famously with your husband brandishing a firearm at them. I know you and he have both apologized for that. He's been charged with a misdemeanor.
It seems like what they like is to embarrass me.
That they are looking into that incident as an assault with a deadly weapon, and they plan to be sending that to the...
How do you embarrass somebody? You do shit like this. Make fun of them. Call them all kind of animals. You know what I'm saying? Make fun of the situation. Put charges against them. You embarrass them in front of the world. You nationally lynch them. She said, look, they done this to embarrass me. They want to embarrass me in front of the world. Black Lives Matter want to embarrass a black woman. That's protecting the community and doing her job.
Robbery Homicide Division.
And intimidate me.
That didn't deter her nor her fellow demonstrators from protesting for hours outside Lacey's Granada Hills home.
My hope is that one day that might change. That maybe, just maybe, if I keep reaching out, that someone will want to sit down and have a conversation that's productive.
Shame on you. You can't hide. We charge you with homicide.
Huh? They want to have a productive conversation. That don't sound like no black person. There's a lot of white people out there too with Black Lives Matter protesting this black woman, lynching this black woman in public, trying to take her job and wipe her out of the history books forever. The first black woman, the whole district attorney in Los Angeles history, and you persecute her?
I would like to say that I'm the only one that experiences this. Right now, it's escalating for me.
Right? But no, it's other Democrats who not following the Democratic Party policies too is getting lynched. All y'all who ain't following, we call them rhinos. I don't know what y'all call them, dinos or some shit like that, right? People who act conservative, but are really, people who say they liberal but really act conservative, dinos. That's what y'all call them? Democrat in name only. Get them up out of here.
But I can't help but notice that the chair of the state Democratic Party, he too had protesters at his home recently.
This is because protesters do not agree with an opinion that they signed on to, have no right to privacy, is what you're saying.
That the chairman of the Nevada State Party had protested at his or her home.
This is people have the right to, this is what a democracy is.
I want to say, what is the end game?
They want your ass fired. That's the end game. They want to threaten you, intimidate you, and put you in fear, right? And tell people, right, or and point you out, right, as such a bad person, right, that everybody turned on you, right? When you're really doing your job, sticking with the Constitution, but the liberals made you look bad. I know the liberals wish they had your ass in office. The same people that voting George Gaston out wish they had your ass in right now. I bet you that.
People have the right. Of course, people have a right to privacy, but people also have a right to be able to protest.
Seems to me that we all have the right to speak our mind, and we can speak in many different forums.
Peacefully.
Is that
peacefully?
You can vote. That's one way to speak your mind.
It's the intimidation and the violence that we condemn.
But to publicly humiliate people, to say to them, I hate you.
And as long as that's peaceful, that's protected.
Yeah, people that just long as they say I hate you in peace, in a peaceful way, it's protected. I hate you, but I said it in peace. It's protected. Huh? Look what the Democratic Party, right? They're lynching a black woman because she doesn't act Democratic. She's not liberal enough for them. She's not progressive enough for them. So they have to get rid of them. She's an old school district attorney that follows the Constitution and follows the laws. So they have to get rid of her and persecute her. Black Lives Matter. Working for the real white supremacists, the Democratic Party. I had an argument with my partner the other day, right? Name of any time in history, right, that the Democratic Party didn't suppress the black generation or black people or black whatever you want to call it, right? And the Republican Party have. Name one time, name one time in history. Because you can't name the policies that, that Republicans put in the office that necessarily affected the whole black community. Anything like that, a Democrat put in things that fucked over generations of black people. Jim Crow law, generations of black people. Voting rights, generations of black people. I mean, all kind of the black code, generation of black people. Slavery, generations of black people. Right? The crime bill, generations of black people. Abortion, generations of black people. They always put in laws that, like I say, that never for the progress of black people. It's always for the annihilation of black people. right? Like they're annihilating this black woman on national TV.
That you're a racist?
First, I call on everyone, no matter how deeply they care about this decision, to keep all protests peaceful.
They called her a racist. Said you're a racist. You don't believe when we say that you're a racist? Ain't that the same thing they use on Larry Elder? That you're a racist? Huh? Larry Elder, you're a racist. How am I racist? I'm black, right? But the same thing they use to her, they say Larry Elder is a white face, a black face of white supremacy. Say the same thing about the black woman. She's a racist, right? Because she don't go with the liberal ways.
That you're a racist?
First, I call on everyone, no matter how deeply they care about this decision, to keep all protests peaceful.
What progress will we make in this world if that's how we talk to one another?
Peaceful, peaceful, peaceful.
During the last debate, I shared that my dad had been shot in his front yard. One protester yelled out, "Good."
No intimidation.
And when I said he didn't die, that same protester said, "That's too bad."
Violence is never acceptable.
You think they're listening to his ass? Violence is not acceptable while they're not doing nothing or haven't done nothing ever to stop these people from protesting in front of people's houses, right? The reason why I got so far because you never stopped it. You never stopped it, right? And people got away with it at the beginning, so they don't think they're going to get away with it in. You never stopped it.
Who among you in this room could listen to that day in and day out and not be hurt?
Threats and intimidation are not speech.
That he meant no one any harm.
They're talking about her husband, right? She's talking about her husband, right? But remember, who gonna hear that "I hate you" and talk about your daddy and call you racist every single day and not feel some type of way? Especially a woman that's doing her job. Especially the first black woman that ever held this job, a historical black woman that's doing her job. Right? More historical than Kamala Harris. Really probably been more historical than Kamala Harris. But she had too many conservative views. Right? She backed the police. Right? She didn't prosecute the police. She didn't go with these bullshit ass stories about charging the people with the crime first and then find out the evidence later, like they did in New York. They said she was an old-fashioned DA. She had things in place, you know what I'm saying, for mental health. She had programs in place for the victims, not the criminals. She didn't show the criminals no love because they got shot running away with a gun and shooting and aiming it at the police. She didn't persecute the police for that. She didn't persecute the police because most of the things that came to her, she had to make a final decision because she's like a judge. That she had other people that recommended things before it even got to her. Well, we recommend this, we recommend that. It's up to her to say, okay, well, this is cool. So if nobody recommended her to prosecute nobody, how is she gonna overrule her? The people that work under her or for her or with her and say, well, fuck what y'all say, I'm going to prosecute anyway. Black Lives Matter wanted this black woman to go outside what she's supposed to do and outside the Constitution and do what they wanted her to do. Persecute every black cop and reopen every case and do all kind of stuff when the case was over and sealed and grand marshaled and all kind of stuff. Grand jury, I said grand marshal. Grand jury and all kind of stuff. They want you to reopen and do all kind of shit. She wouldn't do it. And look how she get persecuted.
That it was just him and I in that house.
We must stand against violence in any form, regardless of your rationale.
And we really didn't know what was about to happen.
With this decision, the conservative majority of the Supreme Court shows how extreme it is.
You don't think this lady felt some extremism? She said she was at the house, just heard her husband, with multiple people knocking on the door. They don't know what was going to happen. Right? So even the Democratic Party, when they protect themselves, they get persecuted and prosecuted. Huh? The liberals will hang their own people to pass their agenda. Look at a black cop in Seattle. All I do is showing her ass next, and how they got her ass out of Seattle and started with that summer love shit. I already got how Black Lives Matter persecuted that black woman next. How after that, how they persecuted the other one, other police chief that was in with the George Floyd. I mean, they persecuted so many black people, the Black Lives Matter, and got them out of position, and got white people in the position, and Asians and all kind of people in the positions, right? It's crazy how many black people have to resign because of that George Floyd shit. You remember the police chief Best? All the officers loved her. Have to retire. Black Lives Matter wasn't out of there. They wouldn't let her do her job. Just like they didn't want her to do her job. If she wouldn't have done her job and what doing what the Black Lives Matter said and what George Soros and all the people said, she would have had her job. Now the person that replaced him was so bad that they recalling him. She had to get voted out. She never got. They would have never had they would have never had enough votes to recall Jackie Lacey. Never in 1,000 years. They couldn't have recalled her. She was too strong. They recalled. This is George Gaston's second time. She never got recalled once in 2 terms. You wouldn't have had enough votes. The only way to get her out is pay for it. Intimidate her. Peaceful protester. Huh? Make her live in fear.
I too am sorry if anybody was harmed. It's never my intent to harm any protester.
Right now, get off.
Good morning.
Get off of my porch.
How far removed they are from the majority of this country.
Is that appropriate, sir?
They made the United States an outlier among developed nations in the world. But this decision must not be the final word.
I just want to live in peace and do my job.
And the Democrats is not going to let you live in peace or do your job. Huh? You can't live in peace or do your job. Think about how the shape Los Angeles in right now. Crime going up. Robbery going up. All the smash and grabs. All the police retiring. All the police getting shot. All the criminals getting out. All the people that's grabbing shit and walking out of stores. Look at the youth. Everything has gone down since Jackie Lacey has left the office and George Gaston has been in. Everything. Right? And it's sad, right? Because LA is going down and you have to experience, you have to look at it. The homelessness, you know what I'm saying, the mental health, right? The things she was helping out on. Look at how Antonio, what's the other dude name? The chief of police have to come and help out on the mental health, right? I think it's so bad he gonna fuck around and run for office. But look at the shape Black Lives Matter left LA in with all the protesting and shit like that, right? They were protesting George Floyd, and George Floyd wasn't even out here, right? They just started protesting any cop that person got murdered by the cop, no matter what condition or what way they got murdered in what fashion. They wanted to protest anything. And all that supposed to fell under Jackie Lacey because they wanted her to prosecute everybody. Right? When the DA wouldn't pick it up, when all of them was justified shootings with video. But that wasn't enough for them. Open it up. Look all the cases in the news recently now that that Black Lives Matter was protesting until the video came out. Huh? They persecuted this black woman. Who did Adam Schiff and Eric Garcetti and the Democratic Party take their support from? Remember, they were supporting Jackie Lacey at first. They took their support from Jackie Lacey and gave it to who? Somebody who came from their own very city. Gascon. Gascon fucked up in Frisco. Why would Adam Schiff endorse and Nancy Pelosi and all the motherfuckers endorse somebody who fucked up Frisco to come to L.A.? Take their support out of somebody who they've been supporting and put in a whole nother candidate that come from their hometown. An outsider. Huh? Black Lives Matter protests, and they've never wanted to talk to this lady. They never gave this lady opportunity, right? And they quick to say, well, she don't want to talk, not the way you want it. Talk to her in the proper fashion. Talk to her in the proper way. Talk to her like a woman, a black woman. Treat her with like some respect. She's representing you. She's representing us. Huh? Now they convinced the white people, convinced the black people to help get Jackie Lacey out of there. Now Gil Garcetti and the white people getting robbed and their house ran in and they got to leave their car doors open and their windows rolled down so nobody won't steal their shit. People running into their stores, people the stores in their community closing down. They're scared to hop on trains now, scared to ride a bus, scared to wear jewelry. People telling you it's not safe to go on vacation. Right? If you look on my Patreon, right, I put up a video of San Francisco when the kids go off the bus and it right in the Frisco drug pen. Right? So the Democratic Party and the Black Lives Matter is working hand in hand to erase all kind of black historical people. Recent black historical people, so nobody remember them. Right? And they put and where's Black Lives Matter? They was talking about the criminals getting shot, right? Oh, the police shooting the criminals, investigate the case. Homicide went up about 74%. You don't hear them saying Black Lives Matter talking about opening up cases on them same people who got shot. That 74% increase. The people who got homes, the kids that died, the women that died, the fathers that died, the innocent people that died. You don't see them holding protests for them. Talking about open up the case. No, they let them go. But as soon as a cop shoot somebody, open up the case, refile, charge them. You never say charge Pookie or Leroy because they're your cousin. You want them to get out of jail if they shoot somebody. You want the law to be stringent if they shoot somebody, Pookie and Leroy. But you want a cop to get the max. You want the person to protect the community to get the max, and the person to destroy the community get the minimum. How backwards is fucking that? How backwards is that? And after the world we live in, we fucked. When we want to persecute the police more than we want to persecute the criminals. That's why police is quitting at an alarming rate. They quitting because of this shit. And these leaders and these politicians, the district attorney's office, people quitting. Because you say they say they got Gaston got them committing crimes. This is a crime I'm committing when I'm doing this shit. I can't keep doing this. I can't. So I'm going to end this show right now. But I got some more shit coming up later on or tomorrow. So I will see y'all tomorrow. Thank you everybody who donated to this video right here. Hopefully you enjoyed. But I will be back tomorrow with more videos and more shit for you. Let me get on my job. You know what I'm saying? I can't enjoy this video because I'm on to the next video. I'll holler at you later. I'm out.